Around the world, kids are being fast-tracked into adults. Everyone is seemingly trying to adultify children with the latest trends. However, this is evolving beyond just a surface-level issue. Kids today are facing a serious problem. It all has to do with that rush of hormones, body changes, and overall, the biggest developmental transformation that is meant to usher you into adulthood. Not only is the average age a child is expected to go through puberty lower, but the percentage of children entering early puberty is the highest it's ever been. On my last video, a couple of you commented on the topic of early puberty, how no one is talking about it, and how it is almost always blamed on genetics. After learning that early puberty now affects 4 out of every 10 girls and 1 out of every 10 boys, I too wondered, why? Why is it this common, yet most people don't seem to be concerned? And why do sources seem to default to no known cause, or it just runs in the family? Although many cases of early puberty are classified as idiopathic or unknown, in this video I will be going over the most research-backed theories of why this is happening on an increasing scale, the short and long-term effects on a child's mental and physical health, along with practical strategies that doctors and nutritionists say can help prevent or delay early puberty. Throughout history, cases of early puberty, medically referred to as precocious puberty, have been documented, but usually found to have a clear cause. Today, the situation is quite different, and scientists are having a hard time pinning down exactly why this dramatic shift in precocious puberty is happening so fast. Let's look at what used to be considered the average age to begin puberty and where we are now. In the mid-19th century, puberty usually started in the later teen years. By the mid-20th century, the average had now moved down to pre-teen. Today in the 21st century, that average is just 8 to 13 years old for girls and 9 to 14 years old for boys. Physical indicators, such as the age when a girl has menarche or the first menstruation, has gotten younger by 4 months every decade since the 1800s. As far as boys, the age of voice break in 1968 happened around age 15. In 2020, the age was down to 13. It's important to remember that these are the averages and discount the outliers and more extreme cases.
Kids as young as 4 years old are starting puberty. Melissa McCready has this health alert.
You'd think 6-year-old Anaya Roll was right on track with all the other kids her age. But mom Nikki says 2 years ago, that was put in question. She took Anaya to Dr. Casey Jaime. He ran a test on Anaya called a bone age. The results? Shocking. In the meantime, Anaya is on medication that will stop her development until she's taken off of it.
If the complex changes that our biology goes through starts too early, it can cause both short and long-term health effects and affect the rest of a child's life. This is not an exhaustive list, but some of the risks include metabolic disorders such as insulin resistance, prediabetes, and type 2 diabetes, increased cardiometabolic risks such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, being overweight, and obesity, breast and endometrial cancer in girls, and testicular cancer in boys, shorter adult height due to growth plates not developing completely, a disconnect with biologically same-age peers, lower academic achievement, and exposure to improper situations and relationships, psychological and behavioral issues. These include confusion to social withdrawal to extreme anger or fear to major depressive disorder, risk-taking, and even eating disorders caused by sudden weight gain. Once a child is determined to have signs of beginning early puberty, treatment involves suppressing the GnRH hormone with medication, unless the puberty is being caused by a condition such as a tumor in the brain. This medication forces the changes to stop until taken off of it at the normal age for puberty. However, a 2003 study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that some kids on puberty blockers developed a condition known as osteopenia and lost too much bone density to justify the therapy. The families ultimately decided that the lifetime risk of breaking a bone outweighed the reward of growing a little taller. As you can see, although there are treatment options available, finding root causes for precocious puberty and bringing this issue the attention it deserves is also important and could help families proactively lessen the odds their children may start puberty at an early age and reduce the potential risk. These are not all of the researched and theorized causes, but are included because they either have more studies behind them or are more general and relevant to more people. I will organize the causes and influencing factors into 2 sections. non-actionable, meaning these factors can't be changed but have research that shows they can influence or trigger early puberty, and actionable. These will be the main focus, as I believe they are the areas that are more in a family's ability to avoid or change, although some may be more or less easy to change depending on individual circumstances. Non-actionable factors that can influence early puberty are things that are more set in stone or predetermined. These include whether a child is male or female, medical conditions, genetics, race, and ethnicity. For example, girls are shown to be between 10 to 20 times more likely to start puberty early than boys. Although there seems to be scientific bias against attributing anything to race, there are studies that show racial differences in likelihood of puberty along with a lower average age of puberty in the Black and Hispanic populations when compared to other groups. Similar timing of puberty does exist within some families in twin studies, which suggests a hereditary factor as well. Medical conditions such as adrenal and thyroid gland disorders or tumors located in the brain or ovaries that affect hormone production are known to cause early puberty and in the past were the main documented causes. Children that are in the BMI range of overweight or obese are at a higher risk for experiencing early puberty. Excess body fat causes the body to produce increased estrogen, a hormone associated with the development of secondary sexual characteristics. This hormone imbalance can trigger the onset of puberty at an earlier age. The mother's prenatal health, such as experiencing high stress or having a high BMI, also has links to early puberty in their children. Plastic is everywhere and nearly impossible to avoid in one way or another. But did you know plastics contain chemicals such as phthalates and BPA that mimic hormones in our body? Known as endocrine disruptors or EDCs, these can wreak havoc on a child or adult's hormonal balance. It is recommended to avoid warming up plastics such as baby bottles and food containers, as these chemicals may leach into whatever the child eats. Pesticides have many chemicals that accumulates in fatty tissues and remain in the body for years and have been known to mess with hormone balance, triggering precocious puberty. Humans come into contact with pesticides mainly through fruits and vegetables. Because organic and pesticide-free produce is not available or affordable in many areas, researchers created a list of what is known as the Dirty Dozen, or the fruits and veggies with the highest amounts of pesticides. Each year this list is updated, but for the most part, the biggest players have been the same. Doctors recommend not completely avoiding these fruits and vegetables on the list because they are part of what makes up a balanced diet. Instead, buy organic if possible, or give these produce an extra rinse or two to wash away pesticide residue. Milk is designed to feed a growing calf and loaded with a lot of different hormones, mainly estrogen and IGF-1. These growth hormones target the prostate, the breast, the uterus, and the ovaries and are believed to influence early puberty. Being that a calf has a different biology than that of a human, the amount of hormones are different than human milk and meant to help the calf gain weight and size. Typically, the higher the fat content of the dairy product, the more hormones are present. If you don't wish to limit dairy, and if possible, go with organic or grass-fed dairy because that means the cows aren't taking in GMOs in their feed, which increases the growth hormones in their milk. When it comes to meat, the same guidelines apply. Cows, chicken, pigs, and other animals that are fed in organic or grass-fed diet result in lower amounts of growth hormones in their meat. Toxic stress is a term used in psychology and medicine to describe prolonged, excessive stress. Recent evidence suggests that in situations of prolonged stress, the body may release increased levels of stress hormones that affect the normal timing of puberty. Studies in children that are brought up in environments of neglect, violence, abuse, or family dysfunction have shown that it can have a negative impact on their health and long-term development caused by high stress over a long period of time. The relationship between toxic stress and hormonal balance can be complex. However, there are several studies in animals and some evidence in humans that brings this fact to a whole new level. I apologize for how sciencey and technical this may sound, but any other way sounded weird in this context. This is almost a direct quote from the Stanford professor, Dr. Andrew Huberman. It was observed that if you take a prepubertal female that is not regularly being exposed to the scent of her biological father and then expose her to the scent of a reproductively competent male for a few days to as short as just a few hours, that she can undergo puberty earlier. Researchers believe this is linked to the odor, pheromones, or some other mechanism not yet well understood that occurs when a prepubescent female has regular contact with her biological father. The odor or pheromones of the father are shown to register with her biological systems in a way that offsets or buffers the other effect that the scent of the unrelated, reproductively competent male has in triggering the onset of puberty in the female. In other words, being around the scent of a sexually mature male without the regular smell of her biological father may lead a prepubertal female to enter puberty earlier. This relationship between the biology of a father and daughter shows just how much an effect the environment a child is in can have on their development, and more importantly, illustrates just how complicated and hard this topic can be to talk about. With that being said, as cases of early puberty seem like they will continue to rise, keeping an open and honest communication will go a long way as scientists continue to research this complex issue. Physically maturing doesn't mean that children are mentally ready for the challenges of adulthood, and the rational part of the brain will continue to develop until around the age of 25. What factors do you believe contribute the most to early puberty, and how do we go forward from here? Let me know what you think.